Hello, everyone. So my name is Christian Grant. I'm one of the senior vice presidents here at K1, as well as the deal lead. And here today with Amitai Ratzon, the CEO of Pentera, which, as Matt mentioned, is a K5 investment in which we closed in December of 2021. So Amitai, maybe to kick us off, I think it'd be great just to hear a little bit more about Pentera and maybe specifically what the product does and the problem that you guys are going after to try to solve.
First of all, thanks, Chris, for having me. Thank you, Neil. Thank you, everyone, for inviting me. I haven't done a huge trip like Sean from Australia. I came from Tel Aviv, so it was a shorter trip, but still great to be here. So Pentera is a cybersecurity technology company. We're in the space of automated security validation. What that really means is that we kind of try to help the chief security officers of the world to answer the most fundamental question when kind of composing a cyber regime, cyber governance program. So it's very common that companies kind of buy antiviruses, firewalls, EDR, all kinds of other tools. They spend hundreds of thousands or millions on like defensive stuff to potentially prevent the latest attack from happening. But then the most important question is, like, how do you know? So how can you be in the know versus in the assumptions world that you're actually protected against the latest ransomware variants, be it Maze, R-Evil? How do you know? So Pentera gives you a platform that with a click of a button, we're allowing the customer to launch real-time attacks against themselves, as scary as it might sound, for the sake of our customers to really understand how the adversaries think in a very graphical way. So for the first time, CISOs of the world are able to watch a monitor and actually see how the attack progresses in real time and what the hackers are able to actually do in real time. Just assuming, and I'm trying to kind of give you an analogy, as if a burglar comes, like a bunch of burglars come into your home, and you're watching like a monitor, seeing how exactly they come in. So this guy comes down the chimney, this guy comes from the basement, and then you say, oh my God, I should have put some cement over there. I should have closed the chimney. I told you, right? And you actually see that, and you say, oh my God, I can't believe that that's what they did. It's so simple. I thought that, I paid so much for that steel door, but they still went from a different direction. So that's what we do in the virtual cyber world.
And I think one of the key things that we learned in our diligence process, I'd love you to expand a bit more on, is the in-production part, right? And so in general, are you saying that you guys are attacking servers, applications, everything real time while they're online?
Yeah, it's a great question and also a great fear by many of our prospects. People, when they meet with us and they talk to us, they say, really? Are you guys launching real attacks, cyber attacks? You're dumping malware on real hosts in production? Is this secure? Are you guys sure? Who even gave you how do we know that this is secure? So if this is something that goes through your mind, obviously it is secure, it's safe by design. There are many safety mechanisms within the platform that allow you to feel very comfortable. And if you're not, you can try Pentera in a testing environment for a week or two, and then as you feel comfortable, you move that to production. I have to say that when it comes to the value proposition, I owe a lot to, we'll see it in the next slide, Arik Lieberson, CTO, visionary, partner in crime. As you would hear in a few minutes, like our friend Sean here, I'm not a technologist, and I've never written a single line of code in my life, but my partner in crime, Arik, is this guy. I owe him a lot. He's the visionary behind this company, and he's the guy that went out of the Israeli Defense Forces at the age of 40 after establishing and running a very lucrative and secretive red team division that was charged with the challenging task of protecting the country of Israel from nation-state attacks. So Ari came from that legacy to establish Pentera. So it's a research-driven kind of company. People would ask us all the time, but how do you keep track with the latest attacks? How do you know? Because that progresses all the time. So we have access to an amazing pool of talent, people who by the age of 22, 23, they've seen more kind of tricky situations and complicated situations in the cyber warfare than their equivalent 42-year-old Deloitte consultant in New York, just because they've seen a lot and they've been through a lot.
And Amitai, on the product front, just so people have a sense, how fast are you able to provide insights in regards to the data that you're actually able to reach from your customers?
Yeah, so we're coming to a company, we connect to the LAN, right? Just simple cable to do a pilot. 3 to 6 hours, we're in and out, and you just know. It's not that you need to trust Pentera as a customer and say, well, the demo looks good, but who knows if it's going to work here in this specific company. It's an in-your-face type of solution. It triggers lots of fear, lots of doubts, lots of emotions, which are usually the best thing that any sales guy could wish for. And since we do it and we take into account your own context, and since you do it against yourself, we don't need to then do like a 3-month proof of concept or a big professional services capability proof with like big teams coming and going. It's a 3 to 6 hours till you actually know. So we can actually go to the commercial discussion with the CIO/CISO, not more than that.
Shifting gears in regards to how you got involved with Pentera, I think the general playbook when you think about cybersecurity companies specifically coming out of Israel, it's, hey, someone's had a long history background in the cybersecurity world or came out of one of the elite 8200 units. Can you share a little bit about your background and how your journey to get to Pentera?
Yeah, I'll be happy to. So as I already hinted, and I think that the 3 CEOs today that are talking more or less come from somewhat the same kind of zip code. I did not graduate from one of those elite technology units in the Israeli Defense Forces. I grew up in Jerusalem in Israel. I actually was drafted to the Israeli paratroopers. I was a captain, I was an officer. That period kind of taught me, all I needed to know about leadership at that point in my life. Then I after traveling the world, that's what we do in Israel, we go crazy after the army service, we go to South America, to the Far East. I found myself landing in New York City, and a friend of mine told me, there is this company here, it's called the Jewish Yellow Pages. They're paying $1,400 a month, which is more or less okay to pay the rent, and they look for sales guys. Like, okay, sales, what do I know about sales? Like, yeah, just give it a shot. So I started working in that company selling Yellow Pages advertisements. It was 1999, pre-internet, so actually I woke up in the morning, like marking all the dentists in Westchester County and then calling them and seeing them one by one. And I had to close the deal within an hour or two. There is no time to think about it. This was the playbook of that company. So I came from that world when I was very young, and I was taught how you sell, how do you actually make people follow your agenda in 2 hours, and the outcome should be they give me $2,000 that they didn't plan on spending before they saw me, or $3,000, right? So that's what I learned early on. Then I was head of sales at a few fintech and insurtech companies in Israel. I've done my studies, proper studied law and business, executive MBA at Kellogg. And that's kind of how it evolved. And the founders of Pentera kind of found me through the Kellogg MBA network as I was looking for my CEO position after being VP of sales for a few times.
And I would say generally, within a sales career, your early experiences will have big influence in regards to how you build sales teams. I'd be curious, that type of sales culture that you experienced at the Jewish Yellow Pages, how is that influenced and perpetrated across the organization at Pentera?
Yeah, so that was just like from 20-something years ago. Since then, I've done some proper sales jobs at high-tech companies. But I think what remained is the hunger that has nothing to do with making money. So my philosophy is, we're hiring hungry people that have a chip on their shoulder. They want to prove something to someone. And it's all about this determination that even if we did an amazing quarter, then we fight on the next $32,000 deal. We look at that deal in isolation of everything we've achieved before, as if this deal doesn't happen, we don't have money to pay our rent tomorrow morning. So this is the type of determination I'm injecting into my sales force. And the whole company, got infected by this passion and this enthusiasm. It's not just me. I'm just one person. Pentera is 220. But we are as determined as hell to meet our numbers month by month, week by week, quarter by quarter.
Yeah, it's, I think something that we learned once again during our diligence process, and we'll talk about the financial results that Pentera has experienced. But shifting gears a little bit in regards to the competitive landscape. So pen testing itself has been around for quite a bit of time, right? Generally, as you guys are going out and selling into the market, what type of benefit are your customers seeing from automation within pen testing? And then also, as you think about some of the new vendors entering into the space, what are they doing and where are you guys really setting yourself up from a differentiation perspective?
Yeah, great question. So when we went out there, just out of the gate, there were already, and still are, folks like Deloitte and Accenture and KPMG. And those guys, most of them became our partners with time. Those guys were basically offering penetration testing kind of projects, which usually last 3 to 4 weeks, 3 to 4 people. And Pentera can actually do what those companies do in 3 to 4 weeks using 3 to 4 people in 30 minutes. So, but instead of trying to take them out of business and be very blunt like that, we said, let's team up. Let's make your consultants more efficient. You can, we're going to get your market reach, your reputation, and you get our tech. Another type of companies that exist out there, if you, I don't want to get too technical, are the vulnerability management players. So companies like Qualys, Rapid7, Tenable, those guys, where they stop is where we start. So those guys, great legit companies, have taught the buyers in the world that it's all about identifying thousands of vulnerabilities and then patching them by a certain order of importance. Critical, high, medium, low. But Pentera says, why? Who says that that's the right way? So just by the mere fact that someone tells you that the vulnerability is critical, doesn't mean it's critical in your specific company. So Pentera would actually look at all vulnerabilities plus the human factor, network misconfigurations, and try to give you an intelligent advice, taking into account your own context, what you should focus on today versus tomorrow. And if you have endless time under your hands, then obviously attend to patching billions of vulnerabilities. But we try to take the hundreds of thousands of vulnerabilities to top 10, 15 that represent the root cause of all the catastrophes that could happen to you tomorrow morning.
And I think it's clear to see in the numbers that what you guys are doing is something that's very differentiated, right? And I remember the first time we cold called you guys back in 2018. I think the business was around $500,000 in ARR, and then we spoke a year later, and the business was around 3.5. Spoke a year later, the business was at 7.5. And then I remember speaking last August, and you guys were at $11 million of ARR, and you were telling me that within the next 4 months you were going to cross 18.5. Right, which you guys did and ended up beating your yearly target by over $1 million. What do you think has been the core reasons on why Pentera has seen so much success? Yeah.
So I kind of, probably that comes in the next slide, I kind of look at 3 kind of elements that kind of make us so unique. Because any CEO would say, in our company, it's family, and we take care of our people. But if I really try to isolate where we stand out, one is product market fit, because you all know, I don't need to tell you, you can tell me that the worst thing that could happen is that the founder comes up with an idea without buyers that doesn't really solve any particular need. But not everyone is Steve Jobs that tells all of us, you need iPads, you just don't know that because you're stupid and I know better than you. Most founders are not Steve Jobs, right? And we don't know probably better than everyone on the planet. But the first thing that was very critical for Pentera is product market fit. So the need was there from the beginning. So the need of a company to continuously test and assess, and not just every year, was always there. But it was reinforced with all the ransomware waves. So if in 2017, 2018, we've seen that mainly people like BNP Paribas, Wells Fargo, Capital One, Equifax, those guys were very much afraid of ransomware and nation-grade actors, threat actors, etc. Today we see that, law firms and accounting firms and pharmaceuticals and retailers, they're all kind of obsessed with that. And if we talk about our customers, today it's not only the typical usual suspects. Today, for example, in the UK, we work with Magic Circle law firms like Slaughter and May. Here in Switzerland, we work with companies like Lonza and Bucher Industries and Maxon and Leica. Companies that a few years ago would never think to have a technology to continuously attack and assess, right? The second thing is value is proven within hours. The one thing that could kill all deals is time. So you can have a great technology, but if it takes you 3 months to prove that what you say is actually working, then who knows who's the procurement guy by the time you end the deal. So the fact we can prove that what we do is actually the case in 3 to 7 hours in and out of the pilot room, that has been amazing. I would say passionate execution. Usually when you talk about passion, people have in mind like hungry sales guys, passionate, running around. At Pentera, it's actually the whole business. So we're quite unique that most of our R&D have been going on airplanes abroad, to meet customers, to run POVs, and to attend critical meetings. And you know why? Because at Pentera, many of the researchers, they're subject matter experts in cybersecurity. Yeah, by definition, they are back office guys, but when you go to BNP Paribas, when you close a deal with Blackstone, those guys say, your tech is very innovative, it's amazing, but can we see the people behind the scenes? Because you're not selling me something generic, like a project management software like Monday, with all due respect, or like Wix, like designing websites, which is rather generic. You sell me something which allegedly has huge barriers of entry. Can I see the guys behind this, that kind of create those amazing attack vectors? So our research, our developers, they all know what's the ARR of the company at any given month. You can go to a DevOps guy, and he's going to know the answer.
Yeah, no, and I think it's been something that we've been blessed to see with all the people that have come over from Pentera to our various summits, just the amount of ownership that each employee takes about being part of Pentera, which has been awesome to see as the companies continue to grow. Another thing that I think that we talk about quite a bit, which has been very different in Pentera relative to most companies, is the international go-to-market that you guys have been able to create.
Yeah.
Can you talk through not just where you guys are seeing success across the world, but also when you made the conscious decision to build a go-to-market like this and some of the benefits that you guys are starting to see today?
Yeah, definitely. So I think it has to go with us kind of coming out of sales from Israel, and probably my background as the VP of sales for EMEA in my previous jobs. One important thing I say is never stick to templates. And you do know probably that early stage VCs, the main tip they would give, let's say, Israeli entrepreneurs is either the team moves to the United States, or you need to place your sales guys between New York, kind of Dallas, and San Francisco. Maybe you drop a chip in the UK to check out on those Europeans. That's really like the approach of early stage VCs. So we're not these guys. We're the extreme opposite of that. So we have local presence, very serious presence in the DACH region. It's actually the best region for Pentera in the world. We're approaching 100 customers in the DACH region alone. Like 12 people in the DACH region, 12 in the UK, France, Spain, Italy, Dubai, Israel. Of course, in addition to the very big team we have in the United States, so the international understanding is very important. You can't encapsulate, how you do business in all these places in a template. Because in Italy, they have their own ways. And if the channel business in the US is done in a certain way, great. But it doesn't need to transcend to Italy. So that's the problem with templates. Many companies say, I'm hiring a VP of channels in Dallas. And this guy tries to explain to people in Denmark and Dubai how to run channels, but it's completely different. So we're all about nuances. We're all about being very culturally aware. And I think that has been one of the secrets for success for the company.
Yeah, no, and it's been amazing to see. I think even one of the geographies that you mentioned that's been very successful has been the German, Switzerland area. Talking about the channel differences across regions, what are some of the major differences that you kind of manage the team towards?
Yeah, so as I said, there is no one template. In the United States, we see lots of direct business, the classic BDRs, SDRs, making phone calls. As Sean said before, that is not really like an Australian thing, but BDRs, SDRs making phone calls to get the sales guys in sales meetings, and then usually the American channel. We work with the biggest ones like Trace3, WWT, GuidePoint, Optiv. Those guys would really fulfill the transactions and also generate some leads for us. Countries like Italy, UK, Spain, Emirates, you see there the two-tier distribution, more classic. And in places like the DACH region, we really see the one-tier, very trusted, kind of unique resellers, value-added resellers that work with our sales team. It's very different, and we love the fact that it's not the same.
Yeah. So shifting gears a bit and going back to the end of last year. So as I mentioned earlier, we talked, I think it was August of last year, you were at 11 million of ARR and telling me you guys were going to hit 18.5. In reality, you ended up hitting 19.6. I think we closed 150 deals in the last week of the year.
Yeah.
From a fundraising perspective, you guys were talking to every single big name out in the B2B investing market, right? Why did you decide to go with K1?
So besides the fact you're good looking, you mean? Okay, so if we put that aside for a second, let's be serious. So when we've met with K1 were very persistent, not because he's here. These guys were like talking to us for, I think Neil said 2 years before. So 2 to 3 years we're talking and like checking in, how are you, what's happening with the business. Few things stood out as we were sourcing the round. So we had the luxury of doing the internal round with current investors, but we kind of thought that it's much more healthy for a company to have this strong validation from like a reputable firm from the outside. And when we got to know you guys, it was very easy for me to like just see the fire in these guys' eyes. So Christian, Owen, George, the team we've engaged with, Neil, these guys, we felt like we talked to like a scale up to a scale up. It wasn't like talking to KKR or to Sequoia. It was something else. These guys were as hungry as me. And I said, hey, are you a PE? What are you? You talk like you're as hungry as a startup. So we love that hunger. Then as we got to know the guys, and that was very important, getting this trust, obviously like B2B expertise is your thing. So you've been there, done that. I've spoken to some of your CEOs like Smarsh, and obviously the feedback we got is great. K1 Ops, we didn't know that it's going to be that good, to be honest. The great work where are you? Where is my friend that spoke before?
Drew is right there.
Where's Drew? Yeah. So the great work Drew has been doing with my team around, assigning territories, working with my CRO, the reverse booking models, all kinds of things that, we didn't pay attention to. Because our previous investors were all about like ARR as if that's the only thing. And when K1 joined, we realized that P&L has P and it has an L. So K1 also made us aware that there is an L. It might be, we need to look at that as well. So working with Drew has been amazing. And I think it was mentioned before, I think the next slide talks about that, which is the AMP program. This mini MBA that Neil was talking about as an anecdote, it's not an anecdote. It's an amazing thing for me as a CEO. Like it's an amazing retention thing for the VP wannabes, the new VPs. It actually removes the need to go for an MBA because, some people might say, hey, I want to do my MBA now, I'm going to work part-time or leave. The fact that K1 gives us this ability to send people abroad to California 4 times a year, and then they have their like monthly things. They come back with fresh insights, and it's a very big it's a very big selling point for talent that you don't want to lose. So all these things and more, and it became family to us. These guys are straightforward. What you see is what you get. Yeah.
Appreciate that, Amitai. And look, I know we're wrapping up on time, and today is also the second to last day of the quarter. So I'm sure there's one question on everyone's mind. We obviously have aggressive growth plans this year. How's Q2 looking, and what's in store for the rest of the year?
Yeah, so I'll kind of agree with Sean that markets are interesting, so to speak, but I don't want to come across as too confident. But we really don't feel that when it comes to the actual results. So we're on plan. We're going to cross 26 million this week. And when we started talking 7 months ago, it was 11 million, or 8 months ago. So we're going to cross 26 million this week. We're actually like a few hundred thousands behind at this point. And we're on target to do approximately 100% growth, just shy of 40 million when this year is over. So I don't know that I can say that your money is in good hands, but I'm doing everything I can. I'm on a mission. This is my life mission, to look after our own employees, the shareholders, the LPs. But Pentera is just goes like that.
Well, no, it's been great to see you, and Amitai, thank you so much for the time today. It's been an amazing partnership thus far, and can't wait to see what's ahead.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.